I feel that a man, his fatherhood anchors identity, not in words, but how he stands unshaken, watching and waiting, not to
Mm.
rescue, but to remind you of who you are. Welcome to Coach Soul, the podcast where we explore therapeutic ways to the best versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Steve Hudgins. I'm a licensed professional counselor dedicated to helping you navigate life's challenges. In each uplifting episode, we'll discuss mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth. Join me and with my co-host, Kenya Evelyn, a therapeutic life coach, where sometimes we'll even welcome special guests to our show that share their experience and expertise. So let's embark on this transformative path together and discover a healthier and happier you. Welcome back to Coach Soul. Kenya, it is June, and I just can't believe how fast 6 months has already gone by. I don't look forward to
Incredible.
June 21st because that means my daylight starts shrinking.
Ah,
And I love the sun. And so I look forward to
I hear
December the
you.
21st because it starts growing back. But I love the sun, and it's just great to be able to feel the warmth of
Mm.
the sun. Memorial Day kicked us off with some uh, holidays because next month of
Yes.
July we celebrate 4th of
Mm.
July, and we just get into the holiday season every other month. It seems like we get into holiday season.
I just love the season because it feels like a reset. Because in America, it is. It's the end of the school years, the beginning of the
Mm-hmm.
summer coming into the new year. We in Brazil right now are in the beginning of the winter. So, literally the opposite. And I'm just really excited to talk about this choice point, this 0 point, this, yes, it's the beginning of the summer, and it's also the invitation to celebrate man and fatherhood and new creation because no mama can generate a mama without a baby daddy. So I want to really invite us to think about man today and the priceless voice of creation, just as mama. Yes, mama nurtured throughout the 9 months, and oh boy, do I know that. However, that exquisite seed that chooses the gender, yes, sir, is much more than just a seed, right? I remember growing up, my mother would deflect men, and I know she didn't mean it, and I say that with so much honor because again, she was giving where she knew that's where she was at that point. But she would say like, "Well, at least he planted the seed and then walked away. At least he planted the seed," and I was like, "Huh." At least he planted the seed. It took me a big minute, several decades to really embrace the value of man, which is way more than the seed. However, there's a reason that some women, that pop culture deflect on men because a lot of men really do that and walk away. So carry on. You are the man of the house. Come to the table. Let's have a beautiful conversation about way more than seed on fatherhood. We approaching this beautiful celebration.
It's interesting because I don't think we realize how men have it tough.
Oof.
There was a what was it in 2000? I'm trying to remember her name. She became um she was a lesbian who became a made up as a man. She wanted to write a book, and I forget the
Mm,
book,
hmm.
but the man name was Ned. And she did this for 18 months. She practiced vocal, she practiced posture, she practiced mannerisms of a man, all
Wow.
to do this to write a book. And it put her into a deep depression to have to go inpatient just to help her get out of the psyche, because she says men do have it tough. There's a lot
Wow.
of pressure that's there. And so we were in this era generation where, oh, women can do it better. And then men get confused and want to go transgender and say, "Ah, I can beat a woman." And what purpose? We've lost identity. And I want to encourage men that we don't go from toxic masculinity
Mm.
to toxic femininity, but let's get back into the role of a father, a man, right?
Yeah, my
Uh,
invitation is to bring it to purity today.
yes,
And you can be as raw and as vulnerable and as beautiful as you choose to. Steve, how was for you to receive the news that you're becoming a father and followed by holding your baby? Like, how did it change you?
you know, it was like, wow, uh, mixed feelings and emotions because it's fear of the unknown,
Mm.
but ecstatic. I was in the military stationed at Fort Hood. I was working in the telecommunications, assigned to the Third Signal Brigade, which was the Signal Corps that
Yeah.
used to exist back in '92. And I'm in the field, and we're coming back in, and we're cleaning our weapons and getting ready to go on a pass. And I get a phone call. My wife's in the hospital, and so I'm rushing. Now, mind you, I haven't taken a shower in 3 weeks, and I can't go to the hospital like this.
Thinking.
So I rushed home, a quick shower, and as soon as I got there, they're wheeling her out of the room with the baby crowning and everything into the deal. And I forget what the wives' tale is, but she was covered in a white cloth when she was born.
Aw.
I forgot
Aw.
what they call that. But my daughter was born, and I was just ecstatic. So we moved to Tulsa in '96, and my son was born here. Uh, and I had passed out at work, and they took me to the hospital because they didn't know why I passed out at work. Well,
Mm.
that scared her to give birth to my son the same day. So I'm sitting in a wheelchair, droggy, and she's over here
Wow.
delivering my son. But I love my children so much so that I just realized that a father gives what no woman can, and that's the weight of steady strength. The silence that protects, the presence that
Mm.
affirms. I feel that a man, his fatherhood anchors identity, not in words, but how he stands unshaken, watching and waiting, not to
Mm.
rescue, but to remind you of who you are. And I see that in my children. And I look back and I feel like, oh my gosh, I know I'm not a perfect dad, but I tried to do the best that I could. It's funny because, her mother and I, my kid's mother and I divorced.
Mm.
And I fought for custody and won. Was able to get the equal access law in Oklahoma changed in 2001 through Governor Keating, which was an important move because I was able to fight for custody, got custody of my children, which is unheard of, men getting custody of their children.
It's true.
But at the same time, Kenya, it's knowing who you are, and it's being confident. As men, we need to be able to stand up for our children. I can really understand why most men walk away, because they don't want to deal with the drama of everything, the complexities and things like that.
Well, I have so much to say about fatherhood and father wound and all the things. First, I want to say to all the listeners right now, if you're a dad, thank you. Thank you for doing your best.
For sure.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you decided to stay, if you're in your children's lives, in your teenagers' lives, in your adult children's lives, Um, thank you. If you are not, I'm still gonna say thank you for doing your best in that moment. However, I'm speaking right now from a place of the one that I have worked so much through the fatherhood. No, no other event in my life has impacted me more than the 3-year-old little girl that stayed without a dad. That he walked away and never came back until I was in my teens. Um, and now that I work with people, now that I work with uh, uh, um, adult women, particularly, and I have my children, I can tell you that all the years of my life that I wanted to feel special, that I wanted to understand my value, my worthiness, that I felt the abandonment issues was all based on the fact that my dad left and I didn't know the reflection that I was looking for the reflection, the validation of the man that never came in every
Mm.
encounter, in every boyfriend, in every choir that I sung, in every music that I have recorded. I was looking for him. I was looking for me, for the reflection of me in it. Am I value? Am I worth it?
You know
And
that
the answer was no the entire time, because if I was valued, he wouldn't have walked away. However, that was a 3-year-old answer. I'm
right.
47. So when I got to be, I say that, and I really want you to listen, dear listeners, that if you ask the child, the answer that the child is going to give is I am abandonment, and if I was worth it, he would have stayed. But now I'm asking the adult that is listening to this, and even if you're still dealing with that, because our human journey has us visiting the places that we have been, and revisiting and revisiting and
Right.
revisiting, and it feels like, ooh, isn't this complete? Why am I here again? Why am I having, because you're in the human journey. You will always revisit the same events, however, from a different lens, from a different frequency, from a different place in life. So I want to say, I love you, I see you. And from the place of the adult version now that is listening to this, all I see is your gold. Would you dare to parent yourself? Would you dare to accept God's reflection of you as true versus human reflection of you? Would you dare to accept father image from you, Steve, as a reflection of, hey, you are worth it? There is no seeking from the outside of you anymore. And if you are tempted to write the book to have the validation, if you're tempted to write that song to show up and have more girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever you are, to hear that you're good enough, just stop and make a shift. There's nothing wrong about doing everything that I just said, but from the frequency of I am already worth it. I'm not doing this to become.
When you think
Go
about
deeper in that.
but here's the thing, who's prepared for parenthood?
No one.
The only people that I knew was Samson and his parents. And in Judges 14, I believe, is where the angel of the Lord came down and instructed them how to raise their child.
Hmm.
But listen, we think, oh my gosh, where did I go wrong? Because Samson chose poorly on some of his choices. It does not mean they were bad parents.
Hmm.
And that's what we need to remember, is that we all have certain choices to go by.
That's right.
And when I made the distinction between men and women as far as father and mother, it's not about superiority or exclusion, but it's about distinction.
There we go.
Men and women can both nurture, protect, guide, and lead,
100%.
but they do it differently.
Oh, honey.
And those differences matter profoundly in child development, identity, and formation. And so what I've noticed, even as a father, and it's a split home for my kids, and I apologize to my kids for having that. At the same time, I wasn't present a lot in their life because of parental alienation syndrome that sabotages that relationship. My daughter came to when she was 20. Dad, I'm mad at you. I'm sorry that you're mad at me. What is it that makes you mad? Well, you gave me chores. Okay. What is it about the chores? Well, you made me do a lot. Now, children oftentimes get things mixed up, and here's why. I remember my daughter taking pictures and sending them to me of a mess of a house. And through our conversation, she revealed that after our conversation, I'll backtrack to the conversation, but she realized that her mother did made her do all the work that made her feel that way. That got projected onto me as I gave her all the work. And I said, well, wait a minute. I pitched in, cooked, cleaned just as much as you did, but I wanted to teach you responsibility. I want you to think, what 20-year-old has a valedictorian, got a full scholarship to Oklahoma State University? Our mother got the Oklahoma Promise for her, which school was paid for. 16 hours of college work, 40-hour full-time job, working, that amount of hours. She bought her first car with her own money and paid it off, and was renting a duplex during her freshman sophomore year at college. And I asked her, what 20-year-old has that kind of responsibility if I didn't teach you responsibility through chores? I'm sorry that it seems so burdensome, but I was along with you. But be proud of the accomplishment of what you can do and thrive and succeed. And I think that, when you think about fathers, a father often conveys that strength through presence, not just emotion.
So, Steve, I want to stop you right there, right? Because what you gave her was a reasoning of, sweetheart, I prepare you for real life.
Mm-hmm.
That was your best at that moment, right? You are not Steve the therapist. You're not Steve the PhD. You're not Steve. You haven't become who you are today. However, at that moment, you came from the military. So what did you pass it down? Responsibility,
Right.
commitment, follow through. So I am by no means, this is why I started this podcast with you saying thank you. Thank you for giving exactly what you could at that moment. There's no shame or blame. However, we are in a new season and we were speaking a new era, if you will. This
Oh,
day
yeah.
and time is a new era where man in general is seen as chore, as disposable. And I am speaking not just in concern, because I'm not joining the concern energy. Oh, I'm so concerned, I'm preoccupied. I am joining the frequency of masculinity. I am thanking the masculine man in advance and I'm calling you forward and I'm calling you out. Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'm raising two masculine men, 15 and 13. I make sure that they protect their daughter, their sister, that they never ever speak any. I don't care if she's wrong. You don't talk to her down. You protect her. I will discipline her in a different way. But what it's just what is. Because I think that hold on a second. I don't want to speak those words, I think. I know that when men shows up as unapologetically, I am me, and that in itself takes a lot of energy and
Oh,
confidence.
yes.
The reason that men has been walking away from marriages and from forget marriages, got pregnant and walk away for zeons or whatever. I mean, for a lot of, and now more than ever, is because women is positioning them as, I do everything, I got that too. And then we're lonely. And then, yes, of course I can. I have strength. I have my masculine within, the feminine and the masculine that live within me. However, what about that embrace in the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day? Literally embrace. What about this, the co-parenting that makes you feel so interconnected, so wow, we do life, having vacations with the one you love, having a sip of coffee with the one you love. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. In the end of the day, if you don't have your person, you are spinning. You're living your life on your own, and you're having a bunch of Instagram moments and nobody to share with. So who is winning? It's a lose, 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 lose situation.
And it just goes deeper and deeper by playing victimhood, by treating parents through silent treatment. And it's unfortunate that children get into a silent treatment as victimhood, and we're not
Correct.
helping people to work through, the trauma based, and it's sad.
So
Uh,
trauma says hide. This is what trauma says. I just want to
yes,
address this because I know we have 30 minutes. Trauma says hide. Trauma says I tried and it didn't work. I spoke and it didn't land.
correct.
Well, I'm here washing my hands on the past. Shall we, unless you're driving, wash your hands from the past, let it flee, let it go down the drain, and embrace this moment as new.
Here's the thing:
Let,
men
let, let,
need.
let me just complete this
Go
thought.
ahead.
Because if you don't embrace this as new, you are giving up before you open your mouth again.
Mm.
And I know that I'm asking you to be vulnerable, man. And I really want you to speak on that. If you have owned it before, if you have apologized, if you have called and they hung up, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and that stunk. I am so sorry. No, you don't deserve that. Nobody deserves it. However, if you say I've tried and I'm not going to do it again, then you are making the future a repetition of the past. And I'm inviting you today, so close to Father's Day, if you want, if you really see yourself as, you know what, I have power. You have to see yourself as powerful to do that. If you see yourself as, I have been hurt and I don't want to be hurt again, I see you, I love you. However, you have the power. And I believe that when man stands up as alpha, and I'm using the word alpha, everything changes.
Oh, for sure. What one of the things that, as I was telling the story, I wasn't even a therapist yet. I was still working as an engineer in the telecommunications field. But over the years of my healing and becoming a therapist, and doing the research that I have done in blended families and masculinity and so forth, here's what I, for me as a man, have defined myself. Yes, God defines me, but it's what do I do with the definition that God's given me?
That's right.
And so a man is not born nor built by bravado. He's forged in the silence where no one claps. He chooses restraint over rage, purpose over passivity, and presence over performance.
Yeah,
Healthy, now listen, please. Healthy masculinity is not domination, it's
that's right.
devotion.
There we go.
It is a rare courage to become a shelter, not a storm. A man, please listen, guys, we've got to step it up.
We
A
do.
man steps into true manhood the day he stops proving his power and
Hmm.
starts protecting with it. There's so much difference that's there.
I also want to, as you speak, I see like a bubble, right? I see a vision like, okay, wow, yes, rise up, man. And I just want to say a open prayer of acceptance to your devotion, because when you step into a devotion and you're not received, because I can hear the voices, I tried and it didn't work, but you accept your own devotion to yourself first.
Yes.
You step as a solemn being and become the raw evidence for yourself. I get it. Your father was not that way. You didn't have, or maybe you were one of the few ones that had been modeled. My hallucination is you haven't been modeled. That you were the first one in your lineage. And for that, I say thank you. For that, I say thank you. Who is holding man, Steve? Who's holding men right now in this earth where the entire movement is women, and thank God for it. Listen, I'm not shaming. I'm saying thank God it was about time to embrace and to see the power of the women, but not at cost of ghosting men. Are you hearing
Oh,
what I just said?
and that is a great
Shall
segment.
we see both? Shall we
Correct.
see both?
That's a great segue as we come to an end of this, because we need to talk about fatherhood, not just the wound piece, but what makes a man, what makes a father. And that's important because, it's great to have, John Eldridge's book, Wild at Heart, for men to have a purpose.
Beautiful.
But it steps out more than just having the purpose. It's also knowing the meaning of who you are. And so I hate to leave it there because this next segment is devoted to fathers. I want to devote it to my father, and we'll discuss a little bit about that as the reasons why.
I
So,
was I want to end with a blessing.
sure.
I bless every one of us that have been listening to this podcast. If you're a man, thank you for being you. You're being called out to your greatness. And if this resonates, there's a reason. You know you're made off of gold. If you're a woman and you have father wounds, just know that I see you, Steve sees you, God sees you. And in the moment that you rise up and say, wow, my father gave me life.
Hmm.
And if he walked away or not, because one of the ways that fathers walk away, they die. They have grown up absent. If you grow up without your father, just know that I see you, I am you. And when you decide to see it from a place of blessing, which is the women, the adults seeing it, it turns out that maybe in the end of the journey, which we're never in the end of the journey if you're alive, but in this moment, you were whole, you were completed. God sees you, I see you, and I see you next time. Blessings to yourself. Bless the little girl, the little boy within, and bless the women and the men listening to this right now. And so it is. Amen.
So until next time, take care and God bless. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on Coach Soul. As we wrap up, we want to remind our listeners of a few key points. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content shared here is based on professional opinion but may not apply to everyone's situation. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your mental health care. If you're in a crisis, please seek immediate professional help or contact a crisis hotline. Listening to this podcast does not create a therapist-client relationship. For personal advice, please consult with your licensed mental health professional in your area. Remember, your mental health journey is unique. While we hope this information is helpful, it is crucial to work directly with the qualified personnel for your specific needs. Thank you again for tuning in to Coach Soul, and we'll see you next time.